Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new collection for April 2024. This is Sorcery Absorption. Sorcery Absorption comes to us from a brand new partner, Rock the Speaker Box, this month. As you would expect, we have a few different types of sorcery elements: fire, lightning, water, and ice. As usual, we'll go into some of the sub-projects, take a look at the individual elements, and then we'll wrap up by getting a sense of how some of these sounds can be used in the ongoing Unreal demo project we've been building out. A lot of really cool stuff to have a listen to, so let's get started. Alright, here we are inside of the main project window. So as I mentioned, we have fire, ice, lightning, and then water. Each of the elements have a few different asset types inside. So we have absorption, of course, and then also surge, and then pulse. We also have the size macro, which allows you to scale the size of the sound by controlling multiple aspects of the design simultaneously, like in rage macros, mix, plugin instances. It's super powerful to bring about big changes in the overall power of some of the sorcery, allowing you to create upgradable spells really quickly. We'll jump into the absorption fire project to get started with. Each one of these has its own composite track, and you can break it down and mix each one individually to your liking. So here's the start. Here's some of the loop. And then the end. Listening to the individual layers, here's the basic layer by itself here. So, just general sort of fire type of burning sounds happening in that first layer. Layer 2, some added details. So, sort of like an acidic type of burning sound layered in there. Layer 4, we have some added weight. It's kind of a whoosh to fill out the rest of the body. And then the custom layer we have here is a sort of an arrow pass by. Some sort of effects, kind of more magical sounding, enhanced. So the pulse and the surge are two different assets that kind of just have a little bit of a different flavor to them, maybe a little bit more situational depending on what your needs are. So here's the pulse. And then here's surge for you. Cool. Yeah, again, got a couple different types of energy and kind of vibes to these different assets in the collection. So really helpful for any kind of, sorcery or magic situation you might come across. You have the loops, the start and the end, composites, really a lot of stuff to play around with here. All right, back in the main project, let's jump into the, let's see, how about the absorption lightning? Okay, so again, with this collection, we have this really great size macro, which allows you to automatically change sort of the emphasis or the impact of these sounds based on what your needs are. You might need something that's a little bit lighter, something that's a little bit more intense. So let's play around with that just a little bit. I'll set it all the way to the lowest size, so small. And then listen as I increase it. You can hear some modulation with the EQing, some of the wet dry mix for some of the distortion sounds. This is all mapped to different parameters in the Enrage plugins. So starting again this time, I'll leave it all the way up to the largest setting. And there you can see that size macro moving when I adjust the slider inside Enrage over here. Another good example. You can see the dry wet mix for the distortion is mapping number 2. So as I'm adjusting that, you can see that dry wet moving as it's linked to the mapping as well. If I click on the routing for the size macro, you can actually see all the sends here. Not that this is exciting or anything, but you can see all the sends to the individual folders or some of the different layers on these assets. So it's quite a bit of control you're getting out of this macro. Super helpful. You know, you can accomplish a lot without actually having to ever open Enrage if you just need to quickly get in and go and start generating some things. So just to, round things out, let's listen to each of them quickly. So absorption. We already listened to surge when we were playing with the macro. So here's pulse. Cool. Yeah, a lot of really great personality in between the three types. Back in the main project, let's open up absorption water. Let's just kind of listen to a couple of these quick. And here's surge. Pulse. One other small thing I will mention, just because you don't always see this, but for the different layers, whether it's for the start or the end or the loop, these are actually all linked together. So if I were to mute any of these particular layers, I don't have to go and mute the layer for the composite, for the loop, or the end or the start individually. I can mute layer 1 and it'll take layer 1 out of all 3. So, it's a small detail, but again, something we don't always see in collections, so worth pointing out. Okay, just giving sort of my overall impression of this collection. I really like this. I like the simplicity of it. So each project contains the same sort of assets, so it's very easy to sort through. There's not whole lot of learning in terms of what this collection brings that we haven't seen already. So tons of flexibility and utility. You have regions for every single start, end, and loop. You have regions for each of the individual layers. So any way that you need to implement this into your project, you're going to have the tools to be able to do it. You can basically use it any way that you need to, any sort of system that you're going to hook it up to. Super convenient. Again, also heavy use of the size macro, which is a nice tool. Always something appreciated. Gives you a lot of room to play around quickly and iterate and begin sort of crafting ultimately the sound that you want to use out of this collection. And of course, lots of room for customization. You want to add your own sounds. It's very easy to look at some of the different source material that's in the project and draw conclusions from it and see if you have your own recordings or things that you might want to add and really get the most out of Strata for yourself. All right, so going into some implementation, just some demonstration of using these so you can see the flexibility. We'll jump into Unreal and play around with the possibilities over there. Let's have a listen to the finished spell and all the sounds put together, and then we'll break it down from there since there's quite a few components to this actually. So here is everything together, nothing muted. So the first thing we'll take a look at is that surge loop that's attached to the projectile. So I'm going to solo that. Initial start sound for the surge. So the initial spell casting, if you want to think of it that way. So those two together. All right, now here's when the spell or the projectile hits the ground. It's going to start that AoE effect. Here's the pulse start composite. So just that initial impact sound on its own. Then we'll add in the loop that goes along with the AoE effect on the ground for the pulse. Here is the entire pulse AoE spell impact effect with the sweetener, the ice from the physics collection. Real quick, the ice sweetener just by itself. And then once again, here's everything brought back in. So the full mix for this ice spell. Hey, thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can see all the new collections as we release them each month. There's plenty more new collections on the way, especially some from some new partners. Again, like to mention that if you haven't downloaded the Strata sample collections already, we have 2 of those available for free. It's an incredible deal. We have over 1,000 source sounds combined between the 2 of them. 15 Reaper projects in total in those 2 sample projects. It's really incredible that you get to play around with this stuff for free, and then you have the free license as well. If you have any questions, be sure to head over to the Audiokinetic community Q&A, and you can look there, see if there's anything already been answered or ask. You can also leave some comments in the video below, and we will monitor those and try to help you out if we can. So that's all for now. We will see you next month. Here's some more sounds from Sorcery Absorption to wrap things up.